society, all in Caledonia. But there was a time, my father was the founder of the Jamaican Society. And then he had a meeting at the Jamaican Society to bring them together so that they could unite and develop a means of support where there was no insurance. We didn't have insurance at the time. So that is why most of the societies have their basis the same way. They give you a certain amount of money when you get sick, and you get so much when you die.
Benefit program. Okay.
Thanks to the,
I remember that.
thanks to those societies.
Okay.
They did them.
Okay. Thank you. What that was is that because they didn't have insurance, I imagine they didn't do banks. We couldn't go into all these banks and save money and buy insurance and all that. They had to come together in these societies and lodges and develop these death benefit societies. Any other comment from Dr. Regis or Dr. Robinson? Yes.
I think Mr. Lane said, what did you think about the film? And what I thought about the film, and when I look back, in terms of, when you talk about, say, World War II, right? If we had lost, America had lost World War II, we'd have a different society now. And the reason why I'm saying this is because what happened by these brave men and women building the Panama Canal, right? It enabled America's warship to reach the Pacific because Japanese had destroyed a lot of our ships. And they were able to get there in time to win that war. And the Japanese surrender. So in terms of the contribution of the diggers, I believe saved this country and also enable it to become a superpower.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Right? And it also, in terms of the economic system, let's say a trip from New York to San Francisco, right? What the Panama Canal did in terms of commerce, time is money. It cut it down by 7,800 miles.
Wow.
Imagine you going on a trip and you're able to cut off that many miles. So you go on a 7,800 miles, say 1,500 miles, and you're able to cut it off, go short, a shortcut. That's what these men and women did in terms of by building the canal.
Okay.
And also with the continent. In 1849, you hear of the 49ers? Well, that had to do with the gold rush in California. They discovered gold in California, and that gold from California had to get to the banks in New York City. You know, all the gold in California is sitting in a bank in New York City in somebody else's name. Well, to get that gold to California, they had to, they were putting it on the stagecoaches, and what happened? And they put it on the trains, and what happened? You know how they got it there? They put it on ships, sent it to Panama, 7 days on muleback crossing Panama, put it on another ship, and send it to New York City. Then the last thing they did was to build the Panama Railroad, where it went across Panama instead of 7 days in 1 hour. And then they built the Panama Canal, where you didn't have to take it off the ship at all. That's how that gold got from California to New York City.
All right. That's good. Any other reaction from the audience? We're coming back to how it affected Barbados, but let me take a question from the floor or a comment.
Yeah, just a quick comment. The gentleman was speaking about how the societies probably came together or not. I wasn't there, a young guy like me, I don't know. But I imagine one way that these communities came together is that this young guy sees a pretty girl and he didn't care where she was from, and they got married. So you have my father from Jamaican descent marrying my mother from Barbadian descent. You know, so they didn't look at the ID first, they just, you know. How a lot of these communities came together, you know.
that's a good comment. Now we got too choosy, huh? Anyway, there were about, I don't know, you hear different numbers, by the way. Every island, every nation island was represented in Panama at some point, okay? So don't leave here thinking that, well, we weren't there. Now, yes, sir.
What was never done before, the United Kingdom just did. Here, they have put a monument to the West Indian workers who built the Panama Canal.
Sure. And this carries a date of August 15, 2014, so that's pretty new. By the way, we're coming back to Barbados, but I want you to know right now, as we're talking and probably winding down, in Panama, they're having a similar forum right now about not only the canal, but the Afro-Panamanian people and the need to be integrated into the fabric of the country, okay? Barbados was affected in a major way, correct?
The Panama Canal had a huge impact on Barbados economically. As a matter of fact, as the Prime Minister alluded earlier, it created a middle class in Barbados. And so the development of Barbados has Panama, the workers, sending remittances back. That had a huge impact in Barbados, because what it did is it gave power to the laborers back in Barbados. As a matter of fact, there was a point where the plantocracies did not want them to leave because they were remitting money back home. Now, there's one story that I read where one Barbadian worked like 25 days straight and dropped dead because he was trying to accumulate a sum of money to return to send back for his wife to buy land. And that is what happened. Many of them bought land and property in Barbados. As a matter of fact, most of it went back through the postal system. There was so much that the postal system essentially crashed. What computer crashed? It could not handle the volume of mail that was being returned. The banks were supercharged. They had to hire more people because the Barbadians were putting money on the banks. And it could, much of the land, even the property that is owned today, many of the people can trace it back to Panamanians sending money back to Barbados. Yes. Basically, they had, in fact, by 1920, there was, I remember this in 1920, it was much more than £1 million that had been remitted to Barbados by that time. As far as the number of people that came from Barbados, you heard the numbers, 20,000, you hear 60,000. The 20,000 is the official number because that's the number that was recruited by the ICC recruiter in Barbados. However, in fact, they say 7,000 Jamaicans. There's not. There were a lot more Jamaicans that went, and there were many, many more Barbadians that went. The number that tends to be the acceptable one is 45,000 from Barbados. Because many of them went on their own. In fact, many stowed away. They tricked them way onto the ships because they wanted to go to get work. I'm cutting out a lot of the ones that I have here. Yeah, but that was the important one that I wanted to say. Let me give you the name of a book that really gives you the story. Yeah. Well, I'm sorry. Yeah. Panama Money in Barbados. That's the title of the book, and the author is Bonham Richardson, B-O-N-H-A-M, Richardson. And he gives a complete outline of the conditions in Barbados at the time and what the Panamanian remittances did in terms of the development of Barbados. It created, let me also say it destroyed many marriages because many of the men went abroad, went to Panama, started sending remittances back in some cases and then stopped, were never heard from again. They started new families in Panama, and so you had many Barbadians that, what it did is it created a huge population of female laborers in Barbados, because many of the men had gone. And so you have this, and you still see remnants of it even today, because many of the women were doing the jobs that the men did because the men were gone.
I mean, was that true for Jamaica? Carolyn, same thing? Okay.
Two other things real quickly. At the end, when the canal was completed on August 15th, immediately they started repatriating many of the Barbadians. They had the option of staying, and many of them stayed, but many of them returned. Some returned with money, blew it, spent it all up with women and just giving money away, etc. Others had saved their money, and as I said before, bought property and educated their children, so that Barbados is known for its high literacy rate, 99%. That had a lot to do with it, because they immediately started building schools, they educated the children, so you've got this high literacy rate on the Barbadian population, and also they managed the economy well because of, again, many of them went, by the way, it's called the Panama Money in Barbados.
Okay.
And the author is Bonham, B-O-N-H-A-M, Richardson, R-I-C-H-A-R-D-S-O-N. Many of them also went at the point, rather than being repatriated to Barbados, many went to Cuba and to British Guyana.